Willkommen beim Podcast Hanna
fragt Papa.
You know, if you feel like your whole world, or at least your media world, has just shifted towards these super short, really personalized video clips, well, you're definitely not alone. And chances are that big shift is down to, well, basically one company.
Yeah, absolutely. We are diving deep today into what is arguably the defining platform of, the last 5, maybe even 10 years now, TikTok.
Right.
I mean, it started out and people mostly thought of it as, dancing, lip syncing, that kind of thing.
Totally.
But it's grown aggressively. It's matured into this huge, comprehensive engine that's really fundamentally changed how we consume media, how we create it, how we even think about community and commerce online globally.
So our mission for this deep dive, using all the great source material you pulled together, is to really unpack that, to find the secret sauce, if you will, behind TikTok's just absolutely unprecedented explosion onto the scene. We need to get beyond just the surface level stuff and really understand the deep strategic choices, the algorithmic engineering that made it this global giant.
Exactly. We'll trace back its origins because the story is, it's a bit more complex than just a simple startup success story. Then we definitely need to spend some real time dissecting honestly, the genius behind its algorithm, the For You page.
Okay.
And then importantly, we need to balance that. Look at the incredible creative opportunities it's unlocked, but weigh that against the serious challenges, things like screen time, addiction, those kind of psychological rabbit holes it can create, and even the really complex geopolitical stuff around data.
Yeah, that's crucial. And let's ground this right now. The scale we're talking about here is just mind-boggling.
It really is.
TikTok now has over 1.58 billion monthly active users around the world.
Really?
Billion.
Wow.
But the number that, for me, really hits home is the attention. Users, on average, globally, are spending nearly an hour a day, every single day, just glued to the app.
An hour a day. That's huge.
That's attention that used to belong somewhere else, right? It came from old school social media, from TV, maybe even reading. It's captured that attention.
And that kind of sustained engagement, that hour a day, it doesn't just happen by accident. It's absolutely the result of very specific, highly advanced technological design choices.
Okay, so let's unpack that history.
Yeah.
Because, the story of TikTok doesn't really start with some viral dance trend. It starts way before that with an ambitious idea and a Chinese tech giant called ByteDance.
That's right, ByteDance. Founded back in 2012 by Zheng Yiming. He was an internet entrepreneur, but his vision was, fundamentally different from what everyone else was doing at the time.
How so?
He wasn't trying to build, a better search engine like Google or Baidu or just another social network like Facebook. His big idea was to build an information platform. And the key was that it would be driven entirely by machine intelligence, by AI.
Yeah, and he was tapping into a real frustration, right? Especially in the Chinese internet market back then.
Definitely. Our sources really highlight this. Users were getting, frankly, pretty annoyed. They were finding it hard to get relevant information on their phones. And the big search engine there, Baidu, was apparently making things worse by mixing paid ads right into the search results without clearly marking them. So people didn't know what was real info and what was sponsored content.
Yeah, a real crisis of trust, sounds like, and relevance.
Exactly. So Yiming's big kind of revolutionary idea was this. Artificial intelligence, these sophisticated recommendation engines, could actually deliver relevant content better, more efficiently, maybe even more honestly than humans curating it or those basic search results.
Yeah.
His theory essentially was that machine learning could figure out what you're interested in even better than you could maybe articulate it yourself.
So the first big test of this AI concept wasn't video at all then?
Nope. It was a news app called Tuxiao, which apparently means headlines. And Tuxiao was the game changer because it didn't just show you headlines, it showed you a feed that was completely tailored to you, the individual user, based purely on what you read, what you clicked on, how you interacted. It was really the first mass market use of an AI-driven feed like that.
And it worked.
Oh, it worked spectacularly. Immediate, huge success. Within just 2 years of launching in 2012, Tuxiao already had over 13 million people using it every single day.
Wow.
And the metric that really mattered, the one that sort of paved the way for TikTok, was how long people stayed. User retention.
Right.
The average user was reportedly spending, get this, 74 minutes a day on Tuxiao.
74 minutes. On a news app.
Yep, 74 minutes. So this wasn't just proof that the AI could find relevant news articles. It proved Yiming's whole core idea that they could be the information platform that understands you best. It showed that this was commercially viable and, more importantly, deeply, deeply engaging.
Okay, I see the leap now. If an AI can keep someone hooked for over an hour just reading text.
Exactly. Imagine what that same AI could do if you applied it to short, visually engaging, maybe even mesmerizing video clips. And that's basically the technical spark that led to Douyin, which is the Chinese version of TikTok. That launched in 2016.
And Douyin took off in China, just like Tuchia did.
Instantly.
Yeah.
Overwhelmingly. It pulled in 100 million users in its first year, just in China.
Incredible. But Zhang Yiming, you said he always had bigger plans.
Always global. He talked about building a borderless company. So Douyin's success in China was huge, but it was step one. They needed a fast track into the biggest, most dominant content market in the world.
The U.S.
The U.S., absolutely. And that's where the next crucial piece of the puzzle comes in, an existing app called Musical.ly.
Ah, Musical.ly. I remember that. That wasn't some tiny little startup, right? It was pretty established.
Not at all obscure. It was a serious player. Musical.ly actually launched in 2014, so it was around before Douyin. And its whole thing was those short 15-second lip sync videos set to popular songs.
Yeah.
It just instantly grabbed a huge youth audience. They even got that nickname, remember? Musers.
Yeah, Musers. That's right.
And what's kind of interesting and often missed is that even though Musical.ly was technically a Chinese company, their headquarters were in Shanghai.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, but its audience was massively international and heavily, heavily concentrated among preteens and teenage girls, especially in America. They'd already captured that key demographic, the one that really drives social media trends.
And they were trying to grow beyond just lip syncing too, weren't they?
They were
Yeah.
smartly trying to build out their ecosystem. Our sources mentioned they'd already launched other apps like Live.ly, which is for live streaming, and another one called Ping Pong for group video chats. They were definitely trying to become more than just a one-trick pony.
So ByteDance sees this successful app with the exact user base they need in the U.S.
Precisely. So November 2017, ByteDance makes the move. The really strategic acquisition that just catalyzed everything globally for them.
Yeah.
They bought Musical.
For a lot of money, I assume.
A lot of money. The estimates are somewhere between $800 million and a full $1 billion.
Wow. Okay, but wait. ByteDance already had Douyin, which was a massive hit in China. Why spend nearly $1 billion on a rival app? Why not just launch Douyin internationally themselves?
That's a great question. It was definitely a huge gamble financially. But the thinking was all about speed, velocity. They weren't just buying Musical.ly's tech, which was probably decent, but maybe not as advanced as their own AI. They were buying something much more valuable, an established social graph. Millions of users already connected. And crucially, they were buying the existing user habits, the content library, and just the cultural foothold of millions of U.S. teens trying to build that from zero, organically.
Would take years.
Years, and probably billions in marketing money anyway, time they just didn't feel they had, especially with competitors watching.
Okay, that makes sense. Buy your way into the market instantly.
Pretty much. And the actual merger wasn't immediate either. They bought Musical.ly in late 2017, but they waited until August 2018 to actually combine the apps.
Right.
That's when the international version of Douyin, which they formally named TikTok, basically swallowed Musical.ly whole. It absorbed all the users, all the old content, those specific lip sync features, everything.
And boom, instant U.S. presence.
That was the absolute turning point. That merger solved TikTok's biggest headache, the cold start problem. How do you get people on a new platform when no one's there yet? They solved it overnight.
Yeah.
It gave them that massive immediate footprint in the absolutely crucial U.S. market. And it positioned them perfectly to compete globally, right from day one. It was like fusing ByteDance's super smart AI brain with Musical.ly's vibrant, ready-made American audience.
Okay, so now we get to the engine room, the core tech that really drives this whole thing.
Yeah.
The For You page. The FYP, this isn't just, a feed like on other apps. This is the mechanism that made TikTok conquer the world.
Yeah, this is absolutely where you see that fundamental philosophical difference between TikTok and, well, pretty much everything that came before it.
Right.
The FYP, it's the ultimate personalization engine. And its guiding principle, the absolute foundation, is that TikTok prioritizes content relevance over creator popularity.
Okay, say that again. Content relevance over creator popularity. That sounds simple, but that's That's huge, isn't it?
It's arguably the single most disruptive shift in social media technology in, well, maybe ever.
Explain why that matters so much
Yeah.
for the average user or creator.
Think about the older platforms, the ones built on the social graph, like early Facebook or Instagram or Twitter.
Yeah.
What you saw there was mostly determined by who you chose to follow. If you followed famous people, you saw their stuff. If you followed your friends, you saw their stuff. But if you were new, had 0 followers.
Stuff went nowhere. Didn't matter how good it was.
Exactly. Your content basically disappeared into the void. TikTok flipped that completely. It uses a content graph, not a social graph. Meaning, you don't have to follow anyone to start seeing amazing videos tailored to you. And more importantly, if you post a brilliant 15-second clip, even with 0 followers,
The algorithm might pick it up.
the algorithm will pick it up. It'll test that clip on a small group of users, completely irrespective of who you are, how many followers you have.
So it's not about your network anymore. It's purely about the content itself, like a meritocracy for videos.
A true meritocracy for video clips. That's a great way to put it. If that initial small group of users engages with your video, watches it, likes it, shares it,
Then it gets shown to more people.
then the algorithm pushes it out to the next slightly larger testing group. And if they like it, it goes wider still and wider. And that's how a video goes viral, from absolute obscurity to millions of views, potentially overnight.
Wow. Okay, so we shouldn't think of the FYP as just a list of videos?
No, not at all. Think of it more like a hyper-personalized DJ. Constantly learning your tastes, constantly mixing the perfect soundtrack of video content just for you.
A DJ that knows you incredibly well.
Knows you maybe better than you know yourself sometimes. And that DJ uses literally thousands of different cues or signals to figure out if a particular video deserves a spot on your personal feed.
Thousands. Okay, let's break down the big ones. What are the most powerful signals the sources point to? Let's start with the king, you mentioned it earlier, watch time.
Watch time is absolutely fundamental. It's the core measure of a video's intrinsic quality in TikTok's eyes. And it's not just about whether you stopped scrolling for like a second.
Right.
It's about the completion rate. Did you actually watch that whole 30-second video from start to finish?
Okay.
And even more powerful, did you watch it again? Did you hit replay, or did it loop and you watched it a second or third time?
The rewatch.
The rewatch is maybe the strongest signal you can possibly send. It tells TikTok, wow, this content isn't just okay, it's so compelling I need to see it again. That's way more valuable, way more reliable as an indicator of quality than just tapping the like button.
That makes total sense. A like is easy, it's passive almost.
Yeah.
But committing, another 15, 30 seconds of your finite attention to watch something again, that's a real vote of confidence.
Exactly. So that's watch time. Then the second big category of signals is engagement.
Okay, this is the more familiar stuff. Likes, comments, shares.
Yep, exactly. Likes, shares, comments, adding to favorites. These are all important signals too, but often they kind of just validate the watch time data. If someone watched it all the way through and liked it, that's obviously a stronger signal.
Mm-hmm.
Comments, though, are particularly interesting. They're seen as quite valuable because it means the video didn't just entertain you passively. It actually sparked enough of a reaction, positive or negative, that you stopped scrolling and took the time to type something out.
Right. Active engagement versus passive consumption.
Precisely. And then the third main factor is the video information itself. This is how the algorithm actually understands what the video is about.
So, like, the text.
Yeah, keywords and the captions are important. The hashtags the creator uses that helps categorize it. Hashtag food, hashtag comedy, hashtag DIY, whatever.
Okay.
And critically important, the sounds or music used in the video, especially trending sounds.
The sounds. That's such a huge part of TikTok.
It's massive. And this was very strategic on ByteDance's part. They licensed an absolutely enormous library of popular music, and the sources strongly suggest that using a currently popular or trending sound can dramatically increase a video's discoverability, like maybe even double its view count.
Wow. So the app itself encourages you to use these trending sounds.
It creates this powerful built-in incentive for creators to use the app's own music tools, which keeps everything within the ecosystem and helps trends spread like wildfire.
So it's just this constant, relentless feedback loop, isn't it? The algorithm tracks everything, videos you watch fully, videos you skip instantly, how fast you scroll past something.
Even things like the type of device you're using, your location settings, your language preferences, thousands of data points.
And the more it learns from all those tiny interactions, the better the FYP gets at serving you exactly what will keep you watching. Just an endless, perfectly customized stream.
That's the goal. Maximum engagement through maximum personalization.
Okay, so if watch time is the absolute #1 signal, that puts incredible pressure on creators to grab your attention instantly, right? The hook must be everything.
Everything, absolutely. Creators on TikTok operate with the knowledge, the understanding that the first 3 seconds of their video are make or break. Utterly critical.
3 seconds, that's it.
That's often all you get. If your video doesn't immediately stop someone scrolling on their FYP, if it doesn't give them a reason to pause in those first couple of seconds,
They slick past.
they flit past. And that sends a negative signal back to the algorithm. This content wasn't engaging enough, it's probably low quality, which means it won't get pushed out further.
So that's why TikTok has kind of fueled this culture of instant gratification, needing that immediate payoff.
It really has, and you see clear tactics emerging because of this pressure.
Right.
Well, creators often start with a really intriguing question, promising an answer if you stick around. Or they'll flash the final amazing result of, say, a recipe or a craft project right at the very beginning, before they show you the messy process.
The reveal up front.
Exactly. Get you hooked with the payoff first. Another really common one is using bold, often quite dramatic text overlays right at the start, sometimes shock value stuff, anything to make your thumb pause mid-scroll.
It's like the algorithm itself is forcing creators to be incredibly concise and, in a way, maintain a high production value, even if that production is just clever editing on a phone.
That's a good way to think about it. The system rewards immediacy and impact.
Now, beyond just the smarts of the algorithm, ByteDance also did something else really clever, didn't they? They made actually making the content way easier.
Yeah, this was crucial. They understood that for the FYP to work its magic, it needed a massive supply of decent content. You can't just have a great recommendation engine, you need stuff to recommend. So they lowered the barrier to entry for creation dramatically. They built really easy-to-use video editing tools right into the app itself. Sophisticated filters, effects, transitions.
Stuff that used to require separate, maybe complicated software.
Exactly. And that huge licensed music library we talked about, it meant the average person, someone who's messing around on their phone, could actually create a pretty professional-looking, engaging video without needing any external tools or technical skills.
Making everyone a potential creator.
That was the goal. Democratize creation to maximize the content feeding the FYP beast.
And here's where the big money strategy comes in again, especially in those early days.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't just wait for people to start making good stuff organically. They kind of jump-started it.
They absolutely did. Our sources talk about this really interesting 5-part plan they had for growth. And a key element was super aggressive influencer acquisition. Meaning ByteDance actively went out and identified the biggest, most creative stars on other platforms. Think Vine before it died, Instagram, YouTube. And they apparently offered these major influencers huge sums of cash. Basically paying them, bribing them almost, to jump ship and start posting their content on TikTok instead, or at least heavily feature it there.
Wait, how much money are we talking? The sources mention figures like up to $1 million for one influencer for just posting videos. That sounds insane. How could they possibly justify that kind of cash burn?
It does sound crazy from a traditional ROI perspective, right?
Yeah.
But the justification wasn't about immediate profit on that specific post. It was purely strategic. It was about growth and, critically, about perception.
Perception.
Yeah, think about it. When a brand new user downloaded TikTok back then, what did they see? If it was just filled with random, low-quality amateur videos, they might get bored and uninstall it pretty quickly.
Right. First impression matters.
Hugely. But by paying these established stars $1 million or whatever the figure was, they ensured that new users were immediately greeted by polished, funny, high-quality, entertaining videos from faces they might already recognize.
So it created instant social proof. Look, cool people are here.
Exactly. It instantly improved the perceived quality of the entire platform, which led to longer watch times for new users, which trained the algorithm better, and crucially, it stopped people from abandoning the app in those critical first few sessions. It was essentially a very expensive form of user acquisition disguised as content spending.
So those massive payouts weren't just paying for videos. They were seeding the FYP with premium fuel right from the start, ensuring the algorithm had good stuff to learn from, guaranteeing a better experience for everyone else coming in.
Precisely. A huge short-term cost, yes, but arguably essential for achieving that long-term strategic dominance they were aiming for.
Okay, so we've got the foundation laid, this brilliant algorithm, the FYP, and these really accessible creation tools, plus that initial injection of high-quality content. And from there, the platform just exploded into this incredible ecosystem of diverse content. And we really need to ditch that old idea that TikTok is just dancing teenagers.
Oh, absolutely. That's ancient history now. The real beauty of the FYP, because it's so personalized, is its ability to find and deliver content to these hyper-specific niche communities, people who share really specific interests. And because it's so targeted, the engagement within those niches is often way higher than you'd get on a more general platform. We see massive amounts of educational content now, for instance.
Yeah, the whole edutainment thing, people learning complex stuff in like 60 seconds.
Exactly. Bite-sized learning, physics, history, personal finance, you name it. And think about the skinfluencer phenomenon we saw.
Oh, yeah, the skincare experts.
Right. People sharing really quick, practical tutorials on skincare routines, recommending specific, often affordable products, like Sero was a huge one. And their recommendations drove demand so high that these products were genuinely selling out in shops all over the world. That's not just entertainment. That's actionable information having a direct commercial impact.
Definitely. And then, of course, there's just the pure entertainment side, the comedy, the skits, the amazing creative visual stuff that just thrives in that short form video format.
Yeah, you've got creators like Zach King, who became famous for those incredible magic vines using super clever editing and visual effects to make it look like he's defying physics. He's got, over 80 million followers now?
It's incredible. And then there's Kavi Lang, who's currently the most followed creator on the entire platform, right?
Yep, the top dog globally. And his whole thing is genius in its simplicity. He does these silent reaction videos, basically making fun of overly complicated life hack videos that you see everywhere. No words needed.
Just that iconic shrug and hand gesture.
Exactly. And it proves that the most viral, most compelling content doesn't always need fancy production or even spoken language. It just needs a really sharp, universally relatable observation.
And beyond these massive individual stars, you mentioned those niche communities, these aren't just small groups. They're like major cultural forces now.
Totally. Think about #BookTalk. It has genuinely revitalized interest in reading and discussing books, especially among younger audiences. It directly influences bestseller lists in bookstores around the world. That's powerful.
Yeah.
Or look at #sports on TikTok. You have creators like Celine Depp, who does these amazing football skill videos. She's built this massive global following, like tens of millions of people, just from her sports content.
It finds the audience for literally anything.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And the platform itself is designed to encourage participation, not just consumption. That's where the viral challenges and user-generated content, UGC, really come into play.
Right. It's not like older platforms where you mainly just watch stuff. TikTok gives you tools to easily join in, like the Duet and Stitch features.
Exactly. Those tools are critical. They make participation almost effortless. Duet lets you post your video right next to someone else's, perfect for reactions, commentary, collaborations. And Stitch lets you take a little clip from someone else's video and incorporate it into your own new video. It's perfect for building on ideas, answering questions, continuing a trend.
So the tech itself is built for collaboration and remixing.
Precisely. These aren't just features. They are the technical mechanisms that turn passive viewing into mass active participation. It's designed to make trends spread organically.
And brands figured this out pretty quickly, didn't they? They stopped just running normal ads.
Smart brands did, yeah. They realized that instead of just pushing out a polished traditional ad, it was way more effective to create a simple challenge, give it a catchy custom hashtag, and basically invite the entire user base to make the content for them.
Like that ELF Cosmetics campaign, the #ISlipsFace one.
That's a perfect example. ELF commissioned an original song, something catchy and on brand, and created a really simple structure for the challenge. Anyone could do it. And it didn't feel like a typical ad campaign. It felt like joining in on a fun cultural moment, a trend. And the results were staggering. That campaign generated something like 7 billion views. Billion with a B?
7 billion views, just from users participating.
Mostly, yeah. It shows that empowering your audience to become your marketers is exponentially more powerful and often cheaper than just buying traditional media space.
And this user-generated authenticity leads right into that other big phenomena, the whole TikTok made me buy it trend.
Yeah, that's fascinating. It's the ultimate proof point that the most powerful marketing today isn't celebrity endorsements necessarily. It's genuine recommendations from real people you feel you can trust.
And the sources had some amazing examples of this, right? Like that Little Moons ice cream.
Oh, Little Moons. Yeah, that's a classic case study. They're this relatively small, family-run company in the UK making mochi ice cream, kind of a niche product. Then, in early 2021, for no particular reason, TikTok users just started posting these really casual, authentic videos about trying to find this specific ice cream in supermarkets, sharing their excitement when they finally tracked it down.
Just normal people, not influencers necessarily.
Mostly just normal people sharing a genuine discovery. And their organic enthusiasm just snowballed. The trend exploded, got hundreds of millions of views globally.
And the impact on sales.
Immediate and absolutely stunning. Supermarkets literally couldn't keep Little Moons in stock. One major UK grocery chain reported that their sales of the product jumped by, wait for it, 1,300%.
1,300%.
1,300%. Just because real people were sharing authentic, believable reviews on TikTok. Not a single penny spent on traditional ads for that surge.
Wow. Okay, and then there's the Stanley Cup story. That's maybe even more incredible.
The Stanley Tumbler. Yeah, that one's wild. Stanley, the company, was founded way back in 1913. They were known for making those super rugged kind of utilitarian thermoses, right? For construction workers, campers.
Yeah, like my grandpa had one. Definitely not a trendy brand.
Exactly. A solid heritage brand, but miles away from pop culture. Until
It's on TikTok.
Until a specific community on TikTok, apparently mostly moms and lifestyle micro-influencers, discovered the Stanley Quencher Tumbler, this big insulated cup with a handle and straw.
Right.
And they started raving about it, not for camping, but for everyday life. How great it was for keeping iced coffee cold all day, for tracking water intake, how perfectly it fit in a car cup holder. They completely repositioned it as this must-have accessory for modern, busy life.
It's just through their own videos.
Just through their organic enthusiasm and recommendations, and the result. Stanley's annual revenue went absolutely stratospheric. It reportedly jumped from around $70 million back in 2019 to something like $750 million in 2023.
Whoa. That's more than a tenfold increase.
Tenfold. And the sources are really clear. That massive turnaround is almost entirely attributed to the viral sales driven by that TikTok community. It turned a functional object into a status symbol.
That's unbelievable. Yeah. It really shows the power shift to user-driven trends.
Totally.
Yeah.
And finally, within this ecosystem, we have to talk about how the platform actually launches careers. It's created this entirely new pathway to fame and fortune, and importantly, it seems to have learned from the mistakes of older platforms like Vine.
Ah, Vine. Yeah, that imploded partly because the creators could make money, right?
Exactly. Vine created massive stars, but it gave them basically no way to monetize their huge audiences directly on the platform. So eventually the top talent got frustrated, burned out, and left for places like YouTube or Instagram where they could earn a living.
A fatal flaw.
A fatal flaw. ByteDance seems to have understood this perfectly and built monetization options into TikTok from the very beginning. They didn't want their stars leaving.
So how can creators actually make money on TikTok?
There are multiple ways integrated right into the app. There's the Creator Fund, which pays creators directly based on the views and engagement their videos get, though the rates are sometimes debated. Then there are digital gifts. Fans can buy virtual coins with real money, and then gift creators things like diamonds during live streams or on videos, and the creators can convert those diamonds back into actual cash.
Right, like tipping.
Kind of, yeah. And then there's the built-in creator marketplace. This is a big one. It's a platform within TikTok that directly connects brands looking for promotion with creators who fit their target audience. It streamlines the whole process of finding and managing sponsored content deals.
So they made it easy for brands and creators to work together.
Super easy. And this focus on providing multiple monetization streams does two crucial things. It keeps the creators loyal to the platform, and maybe more importantly, it ensures there's a constant supply of high-quality, professionally motivated content being made, which again feeds right back into making the FYP a better experience for everyone.
It's a self-sustaining loop.
Exactly. And you see the results. You see Charli D'Amelio, who started with dancing, get massive brand endorsements. Her sister, Dixie D'Amelio, launched a whole music career off her TikTok fame. Bella Poarch had one of the most viral videos ever, and then boom, major music success.
It's a star-making machine built on this unique ecosystem. Okay, so the tech is brilliant, the creative ecosystem is thriving, but the sheer speed and scale of TikTok's global takeover is something else. It wasn't just luck, right? This was meticulously planned. How did a Chinese company manage to go from domestic success to literally dominating the world stage in such a short time?
No, definitely not luck. It was incredibly strategic. As we touched on earlier, the founder, Zhang Yiming, had this vision from the outset of running a borderless company. That itself was pretty unusual for a Chinese tech boss back then. And to manage this massive, super fast global expansion, ByteDance put in place this really rigorous, very data-driven system for deciding where to focus their efforts and money.
A system? Like, how do they organize it?
The sources call it the SIBE Others Market Ranking Framework. Sounds a bit corporate, I know.
Yeah, a little bit. Break it down for us. What do the letters mean?
It was basically a way to allocate resources, marketing dollars, hiring people based on a market's potential cultural influence and how much money they thought they could make there.
Okay.
S stood for strategic markets. These were the absolute top priority. The places where they threw maximum resources, basically investing whatever it took to win. This included the US, obviously, but also Japan and the UK. Winning there was considered non-negotiable.
Got it. The must-win territories.
Yeah.
And then ABC scaled down from there.
Exactly. A markets were the next tier down. Still very important, strong investment expected, high return on investment anticipated. Countries like Germany, Brazil might fall in here.
Okay.
B markets were a larger group, maybe 15 to 20 countries. Think places like Canada, Australia. They'd get steady, targeted investment, but maybe not the all-out blitz of the S markets.
Right.
C markets were another 20 to 30 countries, often in regions like the Middle East, Southeast Asia, places like Saudi Arabia, the UAE. Here, the focus might be more on specific tactics for user acquisition, maybe less broad brand building.
The others category.
Yeah, others were basically markets that were designated as needing zero direct spending on acquiring users. They'd still watch them, monitor them closely, but no active budget allocated initially.
Interesting.
But the key takeaway from this SABC system is that nothing was left to chance. Every single potential market was explicitly categorized, analyzed based on data, and given a specific strategic priority and resource level. No guesswork involved.
And this whole rapid expansion, fueled by this framework, involved just enormous amounts of spending, right? Especially on advertising. And they did something kind of cheeky.
Oh, yeah. It was a financial blitzkrieg, truly. TikTok was reportedly spending millions upon millions of dollars every single day on advertising. And the cheeky part, they were spending a huge chunk of that money advertising directly on their biggest rivals' platforms.
Like on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube.
Exactly. They were basically paying Facebook to steal Facebook's users. The goal was pure aggressive user acquisition. They even apparently used the term siphoning off users internally.
Wow. So they were forcing their competitors to essentially subsidize TikTok's growth by taking their ad dollars.
It's a fascinatingly aggressive tactic, isn't it? And it just perfectly reflects that growth at all costs, profit can wait philosophy they had in those critical early expansion years.
And it wasn't just ad spending, was it? They were aggressive in hiring, too.
Very aggressive. The sources note that they deliberately targeted and lured away a lot of experienced managers and engineers from competitors, especially Facebook. And some of those hires allegedly brought with them really deep inside knowledge, things like internal data on user behavior, competitor strategies, market potential, which obviously gave TikTok a massive shortcut in understanding how to succeed quickly in markets they were just entering.
Okay, so aggressive spending, aggressive hiring, but maybe the most ingenious marketing strategy, the one that cost them almost nothing, was passive. It was the watermark.
The watermark. Yes. Brilliant in its simplicity, wasn't it?
Explain how that worked.
Well, TikTok actively encouraged users to download their videos from the app and share them elsewhere. Post them to your Instagram stories, send them in WhatsApp chats, put them on Twitter, whatever.
Right.
But every single video downloaded automatically had that little TikTok logo and the creator's username watermark burned into the corner.
So every shared video became a mini advertisement.
Exactly. It created this endless stream of free user-generated publicity. Even if you hadn't downloaded the TikTok app yourself, you were constantly seeing the TikTok brand, seeing TikTok content everywhere else you looked online. The watermark was like this perfect little viral marketing device embedded right into the product itself. Genius.
Absolutely genius. Okay, so this data-driven expansion also led them to understand something really interesting about how culture spreads globally. They called it the content downstream effect.
Yeah, the content downstream effect. This was a really key insight they leveraged.
What does it mean?
It's the basic sociological observation that culture, trends, ideas, and in this case, digital content tends to flow from culturally dominant regions, which they called the upstream, down to other regions that are culturally influenced by them, the downstream.
Okay, like ripples in a pond.
Kind of, yeah. So if you can successfully establish a trend, get your content popular in a key upstream market, that popularity will naturally spill over and propagate downstream into culturally connected regions, often with very little extra effort or costs needed in those downstream markets.
And they use this strategically. We have that Iraq example, right? Which they initially classified as an others market zero spending plan there.
That's the perfect illustration. Iraq was initially bottom tier, no budget allocated. But ByteDance did strategically spend money to acquire users and build up cultural momentum in neighboring countries that were considered upstream relative to Iraq, places like Saudi Arabia and the UAE, which might have been B or C tier markets.
So they focused investment nearby in the upstream.
Right. They got TikTok popular there. The content created and the trends started in Saudi Arabia, and the UAE naturally flowed into Iraq thanks to shared language, cultural similarities, digital connections.
And what happened in Iraq? The market they spent $0 on.
Massive, purely organic growth, absolutely explosive. During the pandemic years especially, TikTok's daily active users in Iraq just shot up, reaching something like 6 million people. They achieved a 24% market share in Iraq without ByteDance spending a single cent directly on user acquisition in Iraq.
That's incredible. It's the ultimate proof of the downstream strategy working. Spend smart upstream, get free growth downstream.
Exactly. It validates the whole approach. You don't need to conquer every single market individually if you can capture the key cultural wellsprings and let the content flow naturally.
And this, of course, just reinforces why the U.S. market was and still is so incredibly important to them.
Absolutely. The sources really hammer this point home. The U.S. is seen as the ultimate upstream content engine for pretty much the entire rest of the world. Global trends, especially in youth culture and entertainment, very often start in the U.S. and then spread outwards.
So winning in the U.S. wasn't just about the U.S. market itself.
No, success in the U.S. was viewed by ByteDance as absolutely critical for achieving true global domination. It was the key that could unlock organic growth everywhere else, and that's why they were and are willing to spend so much money and navigate so much political complexity just to maintain their access and success in the American market. It's the strategic linchpin.
Which brings us neatly to this final, really important part of the story. We've talked about the strategic brilliance, the tech genius, the commercial success. But now we need to balance that. We have to look at the responsibilities, the challenges, the potential downsides that come with wielding this much influence over people's attention and culture.
Yeah, absolutely essential. And let's start with the positives, because there are many. The upside of discovery, as the outline calls it.
Right.
TikTok really has, in a significant way, democratized creativity and influence. That core mechanism we talked about, content relevance over follower count, genuinely creates a more level playing field. New artists, small business owners, independent creators who would have had no chance on older platforms can suddenly find a massive audience overnight. It bypasses the traditional gatekeepers in media and entertainment.
And the economic side is real too, right? It's not just about fame. People are building actual careers.
Definitely. We talked about the monetization tools. Creators can build really lucrative, sustainable businesses through brand partnerships, selling their own merchandise, affiliate marketing, turning their content directly into income. And the scale is huge, apparently. Something like over 50% of TikTok users say they've bought a product after seeing it promoted on the app, either in an ad or just organically.
Wow, half of users. That shows its power as a driver of commerce.
Huge economic engine.
Yeah.
But we absolutely have to address the challenges. And the big one is screen time and potential addiction.
Yeah. That hour-a-day average user time is impressive from a business perspective, but maybe concerning from a human one.
Exactly. While the algorithm is brilliant at finding content you love, we have to remember its primary goal, its design imperative, is to maximize your watch time, to keep you engaged for as long as possible.
Right.
And when you have a platform that's successful at holding attention, especially with its endless, perfectly tailored feed, Well, you're dealing with a technology that has inherently addictive properties.
And it feels addictive because it learns you so well, right? It's not just showing you stuff you liked before. It's predicting what you'll engage with next based on those thousands of tiny signals.
That's the core of it. It tracks the micropauses when you hesitate before scrolling, the videos you skip instantly, the ones you rewatch, the comments you linger on. It builds this incredibly detailed profile of your subconscious preferences.
So in a way, the app starts to understand your triggers, your vulnerabilities, maybe even better than you understand them yourself.
That's a scary thought, but arguably true for some users. And this intense personalization, this deep understanding, leads directly to the next major concern, the dark side. Specifically, the rabbit hole effect and broader safety concerns.
Okay, the rabbit hole. Explain what that means in the context of the FYP.
It's a direct consequence of that hyper-personalized, engagement-driven feed. The danger is that if a user starts to engage, even just briefly or tentatively, with certain types of content, maybe videos related to anxiety or body image issues or depression, or even unsafe challenges or extreme ideologies, the algorithm, in its relentless quest to give you more of what you seem to want based on your engagement, will start serving up increasingly similar and sometimes increasingly extreme or problematic versions of that same content.
So it can quickly funnel you down a path you didn't necessarily intend to go down.
Precisely. It can amplify and reinforce negative thought patterns or expose users to harmful material very quickly. And this is a massive concern, particularly when we think about younger users or people who might already be vulnerable.
And the sources had some pretty worrying examples of this, didn't they? Like reporters setting up fake teen accounts.
Yes, there have been several investigations like that. Reporters would create a new account, pose as a young teenager, and then deliberately pause for just a few seconds on certain types of videos. Maybe something slightly sad, or maybe something hinting at self-harm or disordered eating.
And what happened to their feeds?
The results were often deeply disturbing. Within a very short space of time, sometimes just minutes, their FYPs would become overwhelmingly dominated by content related to that initial negative theme. Increasingly dark, potentially harmful stuff.
I remember one report specifically mentioned that an account interacting just a little with sad content. Within half an hour, something like 93% of the videos being shown were depression-related.
Yeah, numbers like that are alarming, and it highlights the ethical dilemma. The algorithm is technically just doing its job perfectly. Oh, you lingered on this, here's more like it. But the outcome can be the rapid descent of potentially vulnerable people into these really negative, harmful content spirals.
Even if TikTok has policies against showing outright dangerous stuff, the sheer speed and personalization mean this fringe or borderline material can find its audience incredibly fast.
Exactly. It raises serious questions about platform responsibility and the design of these engagement-maximizing systems, even when we have to remain impartial in reporting it.
And the safety concerns go beyond just the content, right?
Yeah.
There's the data collection aspect too, especially regarding children.
Yes. TikTok, or rather Musical.ly before the merger, and TikTok in its early days, did face significant regulatory scrutiny and pretty hefty fines, particularly in the U.S., for collecting personal data from children under 13 without getting proper parental consent, which is illegal under COPPA laws.
Right.
It just underscores how important it is for users, and especially parents, to be really aware of the privacy policies and data practices of these huge global platforms.
Which leads us directly into that final, maybe most complicated challenge, the whole issue of data security and geopolitical concerns. This has been huge news.
Absolutely, because ByteDance, TikTok's parent company, is headquartered in China. Governments around the world, but most notably the U.S. government, have expressed really profound national security fears.
Fears about what specifically?
The core fear is about the potential for the Chinese government to access the vast amounts of data TikTok collects on its users, particularly American users. Could they demand access to that data? Could they potentially influence the algorithm itself, maybe subtly promote certain narratives or suppress others? Those are the big questions being asked.
And we need to be clear, we're just reporting these concerns from the sources, not taking a side.
Yeah.
But these concerns became so intense that they threatened TikTok's existence in the U.S., right?
They absolutely did. There was serious political pressure, including threats of a complete ban in the U.S., and losing the U.S. market, as we discussed, would have been absolutely devastating for TikTok's global strategy and valuation.
So they had to do something drastic to try and alleviate those fears.
Yeah.
A compromise was reached.
A massive, incredibly complex, multi-billion-dollar technical and corporate restructuring effort was undertaken. It's often referred to, sometimes internally, as Project Texas.
Project Texas. Okay. What's the core idea behind it?
The central pillar is bringing in a trusted U.S. technology company, Oracle, to act as TikTok's independent security partner for its U.S. operations. The whole goal is to create a secure, heavily monitored, and segregated environment specifically for American user data and the U.S. version of the algorithm.
Okay, walk us through that. What does Oracle actually do in this arrangement? What do they control?
Oracle's main job is basically twofold. First, they act as the secure data storage provider. This means all data from U.S. users, private messages, video viewing history, drafts, everything is supposed to be stored exclusively within Oracle's own secure cloud infrastructure, physically located within the United States.
So building a digital wall to keep U.S. data physically inside the U.S.
That's the idea. A physical and digital barrier designed to prevent that data from being accessed from or transferred outside the country, especially back to China.
Okay, that covers where the data lives. But what about the algorithm itself? That incredibly powerful FYP engine we spend so much time talking about. Does Oracle control that too?
That's the even more complex part. Yes, according to the plan, Oracle is also responsible for operating and, crucially, inspecting and retraining the version of the recommendation algorithm that serves U.S. users.
Retraining it? How?
This U.S.-specific algorithm is supposed to use only American user data for its learning and training processes. And the whole operation is subject to strict U.S. government oversight and transparency rules. The aim is to ensure that the content recommendations and distribution within the U.S. are free from any potential manipulation or influence by ByteDance, the foreign parent company.
So effectively, they're trying to run two almost separate TikToks. One for the U.S., under Oracle's watchful eye, and one for the rest of the world, still run more directly by ByteDance.
That's essentially the unprecedented logistical and technical challenge they've undertaken. And there are corporate structure changes, too. ByteDance itself, the parent company, now reportedly holds less than 20% of the stock in this newly structured U.S. entity. And the whole thing is overseen by a U.S.-based security committee with government approval.
Wow.
The entire objective is to build confidence, primarily with the U.S. government and public, that the American version of TikTok, its content, its algorithm, its user data, operates securely and is subject to American laws and scrutiny, despite its ultimate foreign ownership.
It really just highlights the extraordinary lengths and costs involved when a globally dominant technology runs into these intense geopolitical pressures and national security anxiety.
Absolutely. Access to that critical U.S. market was clearly deemed valuable enough to justify this incredibly complex, expensive, and ongoing restructuring effort. It is a fascinating case study in the collision of tech, global business, and politics. #TagOutTrack.
Well, we have definitely gone deep today, haven't we? We started way back with Zhang Yiming's initial vision, that AI-driven information platform idea with Tuqiao. Then we tracked the strategic genius of applying that AI concept to short video with Douyin, and then that incredibly bold, high-risk, but ultimately game-changing move of buying Mutescoli to instantly capture the U.S. market.
Yeah, and they absolutely cracked the code with the For You page, didn't they? Prioritizing content relevance, the FYP, over the old social graph model. That just fundamentally changed the landscape and created that true meritocracy, or at least the appearance of one, for creators.
Right.
And that tech was then scaled globally using that really rigorous data-led expansion plan, cleverly leveraging the content downstream effect to get massive organic growth in unexpected places.
I think the biggest insight, maybe, that we can pull from all these sources is that TikTok isn't just another app. It's not just social media. It's not just entertainment.
No, it's much more integrated than that.
Its power, its continued explosive success, really comes from how seamlessly it blends all these different functions together. As you said earlier, it's a real-time marketplace, it's a massive cultural media channel, and it's a sophisticated monetization machine, all perfectly synthesized into one incredibly addictive, hyper-personalized feed.
That's it, exactly. That potent, almost invisible merger of entertainment, commerce, and community, all driven by that powerful algorithm. That's the magic formula that every other tech giant is still desperately trying and mostly failing to replicate. They know they're fighting for relevance against a platform driven by an engine, the FYP, that in many ways has already won the battle for attention.
Okay, so that brings us to our final provocative thought for you, our listener, to take away today. We know now in detail how the TikTok algorithm works. It's relentlessly learning from your every single action what you watch, but also what you skip. how long you pause, what you rewatch. It's constantly building and refining your own personal reality tunnel on the app.
So, if the algorithm is fundamentally designed to just give you more of what you engage with, think about this. What is one positive community or one specific niche on TikTok? Maybe it is something like #BookTalk, or maybe it's high-quality educational content about history or science, or perhaps tutorials for learning a new creative skill like coding or playing guitar. What's one positive thing you could consciously, deliberately search for and engage with today?
Because remember, the algorithm reflects your choices back at you. You actually have the power to feed it positive, beneficial input. You can actively shape your FYP to be the most interesting, useful, maybe even uplifting place it could be for you.
Choose wisely what you feed the machine, because ultimately what you feed the algorithm, well, it feeds it right back to you, amplified.
Thanks for diving deep with us on this one. It was fascinating. We'll catch you on the next Deep Dive.